Let's see here. 716 Darren says, "Hey Pat and Wooly, I recently watched the old Silent Hill 2 Let's Play, and Pat compares the titular town to a local city called Laval. I wouldn't pay attention to this much, but the day before I was watching an episode
I don't remember that.
of Canadian TV series Letterkenny, and the final punchline to one of their episodes is every degenerate in Quebec comes from Laval.
Oh man.
I figure the same city being used as a joke both times can't be coincidence, so I have to know, what's the deal with Laval, since it seems the entirety of Quebec loves to shit on it?"
Fucking sucks ass.
So the entirety of Quebec doesn't love to shit on it, but the entirety of Montreal and people outside of Quebec will shit on Laval. Once you're in Laval, you can continue to redirect the shit to other municipalities. If you live in Laval, you can probably shit on Trois-Rivières, and you can probably shit on Abitibi-Témiscamingue, and Nuns Island, and whatever else you want.
Good old Tetford Mines.
So, the Cleveland of Canada. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but look, I grew up in Laval. I'm from Laval. There's
your proof right there. Oh, sorry, I had to.
Laval is just kind of boring. It's infinite suburbs, and it's entirely French. There is no English. There are people that it's, when I say it's monolingual, like in Montreal, people speak French, but they understand some English. In Laval, you're likely to run into people who do not understand English.
Zero.
But, whatever.
Yeah,
more than anything, though, it's just boring infinite suburbs.
Yeah, I always felt that the rawness of its shit is that it's an infinity suburb, and they're all the same house. Like, it's fucking astonishing.
Yep.
And, there's literally nothing there, because the solution to why isn't there anything here is go across the bridge into Montreal.
Yeah, no, my childhood is a Grenada sandwich, and the bread is Laval. This is how I grew up,
Yeah, every single person I know, I knew you grew up in Laval. I knew my pal Fuggins. I knew my friend Nick. All grew up in Laval, and all of you are just like, man, fuck Laval.
Chamadi.
Fuck it.
Yeah. There's a bridge to Montreal, and it's the bridge to freedom. You fucking cross that bridge and you never look back. You never look back. You don't stop for nothing. You keep on going. No matter what you hear behind you. That's it, really.
That's a wild poll. It's like watching the old Silent Hill 2 LP. I don't remember making fun of Laval in there at all, but fuck that place.
Now, it's similar but different. It's like, it might... Oh, how about this? We would make fun of the West Island for nearly identical reasons, but it isn't, because the West Island is suburb mansions.
Yeah,
McMansions.
I hate people from the West Island.
Infinite McMansions, and it's infinitely English. There's no French whatsoever, and they're basically so far outside the city that they've distanced themselves lest any of the city filth get on them or anywhere near them. They've removed their existence entirely to the safe.
Being from the West Island is like a fucking coin flip as to whether or not they're a complete fucking piece of shit.
So Laval and the West Island are they're not opposites, but they're two sides of the same coin. Yeah. Boy, fucking...
You work on the West Island, buddy? I'm sorry.
Shout outs to Fairview Mall. God bless. It's the only thing.
I fucking hate that mall.
It's the only thing you guys got going for you, and if it wasn't there, you would all just be fucking dead. I don't know. The Coliseum.
I fucking hate that mall, because that mall always had shit at the EB games that the other place didn't have.
Yep.
So you have to go all the fucking way out to Fairview.
Yep. Also,
Oh,
if you're a hyper dork like me and you're playing all the escape games you can get to, then you have to make it up there to get to one of the special escape rooms they had that they had up there with the Amaze series. So, there's that too. But anyway,
no, you want a good burrow? You want some fucking good shit? You want some trash burrows like fucking Verdun and LaSalle and Villemard?
ugh, fuck those places too for complete opposite reasons.
Fucking
God,
poor and shit.
It's garbage.
And everyone there is grimy looking like you're supposed to. That's where I'm from.
Fuck those places.
I'm from the fucking, like, just grimy asshole of the city.
Fuck the entire orange line. Just the whole orange line can go.
Verdun's the real Montreal. What's that? Mom Bouchard burned it down? Didn't pay the protection? Don't worry. There's a dep on literally every corner at that four-way stop. And the other three paid their protection, so it's fine. You can still go get some milk.
Hey, man. Could be worse. You could be on the you could be on Blur and Young. You could be going down Dundas right now. Those are Toronto streets.
Yeah. Dude, I grew up in Verdun, and my fucking kindergarten looked like a fucking prison. Like, I could point you out my fucking kindergarten school on fucking Google Maps, and I saw it just a couple weeks ago, not a couple weeks ago, a couple years ago, actually. But it still looks like a fucking prison. That place is a shithole.
The high school...
All asphalt yard.
The high school next to mine literally was a prison. And then they converted it into a school. And
nice.
and the only way to get air into the classrooms that had no windows was a giant ventilator,
Nice.
fucking AC shaft. And then when one day some kids figured out that you could sneak up to the central and throw sticks in it until the fan stopped spinning, there would be no air and everyone would have to evacuate school for the day, lest everyone suffocated because the fucking the place had no windows.
I remember, oh, this is my favorite. I remember when I first started going to college in fucking 2004. It was the time when I'd be going into Montreal all the time because I lived on the South Shore. I lived in the burbs off the island. So I'm going to Montreal all the time. And my dad, who's an old-timer, working man, been everywhere, done all sorts of shit, right? He's like, Patrick, I want you to promise me that you'll never go down to the Point. I'm like, the Point? He's like, don't you ever go to Point St. Charles. Mm-hmm. Don't get off at the Charlevoix metro station.
Nope.
You will die.
Yep.
You will literally die.
Yep.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he told me like multiple stories of him and his friends were just hanging out in the Point and one of them just died.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, fine.
See,
so I'm in Sejep, and eventually, I think near the end of Sejep or right after Sejep, you start working at the fucking QA place.
QA job is located in the Point, my friend. That's where work is. Gotta work in the Point. That's where it is. You want to get paid? You want to live your life? You go down to the Point. You walk that walk. You fucking hit up Center Street and you go all the way down and you keep going.
And I remember talking to you. I'm like, is it still just as bad? And you were like, yeah. And then a couple of years after that, after you had gotten used to it, right? And you had described to me that the bus that you took skips most of the trash.
Oh, yeah. You can get past it.
And all that crap.
Fast travel.
We wanted our fucking early non-Canadian versions of Rock Band. So we had to go hang out with Min because Min could drive and had access to his parents' car. And Min was going to meet us outside the Charlevoix metro station in the Point. But because it was early, we had to meet him there like at 2 a.m. So you and I are standing in the middle of the Point at 2 a.m. and we have not been there for 5 minutes before this fucking crackhead wanders out from wherever.
The orphan of Kos.
If we want to have a good time. To which I don't even remember which one of us said it. I think it was you. You just said, no, we're good. And she just stumbled away.
Rom the vacuous spider approached. Yeah.
And then Min pulled up, and there was a real just tangent, just strong feeling of, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Let's drive. Let's go. Yep. So that's what's going on in town. But we stand here making fun of these places with their suburbs and their pretty houses. Well, anyway.
Well, the problem with people from fucking West Island. Problem with people from West Island is that they would lord over everyone else how nice
same
their
thing.
neighborhood was.
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing.
West Island, same thing. Yeah.
Well, Westmount's all mansions.
Yeah.
Westmount's all rich people.
But that's like mansions of the people who actually like lord over the underclass. Like those are the people with the jobs and positions of power. If you live in Westmount, you have power. Right? And money and power. If you live on the West Island, you have no power, but you've got money. Yeah. That's what it is. The distance allows you to stretch that dollar to get yourself something real big and nice, but you're far enough away that you don't have to, handle the rest of it, as it were.
So it's like I can't stand being in the West Island. It feels like a fake location. But at the same time, the second to last time I was in Verdun was the time I was following behind that guy and his backpack fell open and what looked like fucking 10 pounds of weed fell out onto the street. And I was right behind him and I called out to him, but he had his headphones on. And I was like, well, I'm not going to run up to him and tap him on the fucking shoulder and tell him, hey, your shit ton of weed that's still illegal at this current time, it fell out of your fucking bag. And I'm not gonna touch it.
Why are you trying to fuck up the drop, bro?
So I just crossed the street and fucking just pretend I didn't see it.
You're fucking up the drop.
That was not a drop. No one's dropping like a giant fucking brick of weed on a fucking sidewalk in front of the game zone. That's bullshit.
You sure that wasn't the re-up? You sure?
I'm fucking sure.
When drugs hit the street on Wellington, I'm pretty sure that's the re-up.
No, because there's too many people on Wellington that'll just pick it up. Because Wellington's a fucking piece of shit street.
Oh, man.
I fucking love Wellington. They tried to make it all look nice with those fucking... all those lamps, all those fancy lamps.
Yeah, and some nice restaurants, too.
Oh, God, it's still, like, you'll never convince me that that's not just, like, a fucking ghetto shithole.
Shout-outs to Blackstrap Barbecue. They got some fucking...
Oh, I fucking miss my old neighborhood. That's my shit.
Yeah.
Fucking trash people with those fucking death trap staircases.
Oh, the spirals that only this city refuses to get rid of. We got walk-ups that are either way too steep once you get inside from the front door and you immediately are greeted with stairs at a death angle, or spiral staircase outside that essentially becomes the frozen ice death trap, where if you walk underneath it, you will get impaled on an icicle, and if you try to rise above it, it will surmount you. It will
They're that
defeat you.
fucking just above sheet metal quality fucking metal that like playground equipment would be made out of, that's like smooth so it's slippery even in the summertime, and then ice just loves it.
And every once in a
most awful death trap.
Every once in a while you see some people trying to save money on moving, that are trying to lift some furniture up the spiral staircase, and you just kind of stop and watch, because you're like, well, they clearly didn't check the blood stains on the ground around this zone to see the last 10 seconds. So I guess there's not much we can do but watch.
You can, okay, so you can, if you type in Montreal spiral staircase, you can absolutely see a ton of photos of these fucking nightmare things covered in fucking snow and ice, and just how awful oh my god. Just what the and like one of the things, like, why does Montreal have these horrible stairs?
It's ridiculous, and they always vibrate. They always shake. They're always rickety. They're one piece connected to the veranda or the balcony. And yeah, that's the fucking that's Montreal. That's specifically those neighborhoods of Montreal.
That's my earliest memories of living in the city, is falling down those rickety ass ice covered stairs so that I could go into the fucking lane behind my house and fucking throw like rocks at the speed bump that was there, so that people didn't just kill the children by blasting down the fucking road in the lanes that aren't technically streets.
Yeah, but again, like that, if you hit up fucking Verdun or the Point, and you hit up the Plateau, it's just, that's what you're getting. You're getting that architecture.
Well, Plateau's all fucking hipsters now.
No, but the spiral staircase is still a thing.
Oh yeah, no,
it's still a thing. You go up around the corner from you go down around the corner from fucking Prince Arthur, and then those side streets parallel to Saint Laurent. There's just a bunch of old architecture spiral staircase death traps waiting for you. Anyway. So yeah, I hope that answers the question of what the fuck is up with Laval.
Laval doesn't have those spiral staircases of death, so it's not real. It's not a real place.
Laval has like one giant building called the Recreotech, and it's where they have mini golf, Rigolo golf, laser tag, and all sorts of other dead businesses. And it's the only thing that high in the entire area, so you can see it from fucking miles away, because everything else is just the same rooftop.
Do you remember when they had the fucking metro extension, and the Laval extension accidentally got dug like multiple kilometers off target?
I was gonna say, like, they could have saved the West Island by building a metro stop out there, but they never did. They never fucking did. Yeah, meanwhile, Laval was supposed to get one subway stop, metro stop. We call the subway the metro here, and one underground stop. And they dug, and they had this big multi-year long like campaign, and they were planning it out. And then we find out that, oops, they accidentally dug too far, and their drilling and digging equipment happened to stop right underneath the mega mall in Laval.
Just happened to be.
Right there!
They accidentally dug for an extra 8 months.
All the way to the bottom of the mega mall. And went, well, I guess since it's already done, we're going to make 2 stations
The
then.
mega mall that was owned by a local Laval businessman who had been petitioning the government to have it extended to his mega mall. for years.
Somehow
That happened.
Montmorency and de la Concorde out of nowhere, just like that. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Wild. I mean, dude, this is the same city where, like, motherfuckers just went, hey, how much does a parking ticket cost for being in this parking slot downtown per hour? Cool. Build an extension to my restaurant on top of all of these parking spots and just pay for the tickets all day.
It's worth it.
And the city's like, fuck it. We'll take it. You know, like, we'll take the income. And then everyone follows fashion and goes, as long as we have people coming out to eat at a certain rate and we have a certain turnover on our business, you will have no parking and we will extend our restaurants into the public space of the street. And then they extend it backwards from the parking space edge to half the sidewalk. And then you're basically left with shoulder width to walk on the sidewalk because these businesses have fucking just taken the law to the extremes and no one's stopping them.
And that bar fucking sucks, too.
I mean, the one that started it, yeah.
The one that started it. That place sucks ass.
Sports station.
The only reason it's popular is because it's like a fucking sports bar that shows the Habs game when the Habs game's on.
Yeah, but that's also the bar that's owned by the fucking evil lord of St. Catherine.
Yeah.
That fucking owns every other business in the area that slowly took over and just basically there was one dive bar. No, not the dive bar. There was the Cock and Bull that still had the last video poker machine in all of downtown Montreal because video poker machines were banned. So this one bar that was independently owned still had one because it was grandfathered in. And then the owner of these other rival bars down the street that was doing this whole fucking sidewalk thing I was talking about is like, yo, video poker makes a killing. I want that fucking machine. And they're like, nah, we're not selling it. And the dude's like, I don't think you understand. I want that machine. And the independent owners are like, nah, we're not. It's not for sale. And then the dude is like, all right, well, I'm buying your business. How about that? And they're like, we're not selling the business. And he's like, I said I'm buying your business. And he proceeds to buy the company that owns the building that the bar is in, and then jacks up the rent on the actual bar itself to the point where they can no longer afford it. So they go, fuck this guy, and get their shit and say, we're moving. They buy another location for the bar. They announce that they're moving to this area in the same, like a block down or whatever, and get all their employees and staff together and go, all right, people who are all regulars, this is where we'll be from now on. The dude goes and buys that building too before they even reopen. They then announce after this point, because they realize if they say anything, they're fucked. They then get a third location and secretly move into it and do not tell anybody where it is until way later, and then go, all right, here it is, we announce where it is, and they basically create a refuge from this asshole's ploys because he's that draconian about it. Wild shit.
I really like the story ends that way because I like the Cock and Bull.
Well, now it's just the bull because they left the cock behind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice little bar.
Wild.
It was very pleasant.
Well, that's enough Montreal lore for the day.
They ever do anything with that fucking burnt out lot next to the Forum?
Faubourg? Or earlier?
No, you remember you'd be walking east
the park
on St. Catherine,
Cabot Square,
and you'd get past the Cabot Square would be on your right, and then you'd cross the street that like bordered the Forum, and then there was some fucking bullshit that burned down, and it was there the entire time we went to school.
Okay, hold on a second. If you're standing on the corner of Atwater and St.
Oh, they
Catherine,
totally turned it into that fucking fancy grocery store. Never mind. Now I remember.
oh, where the
Fucking
McDonald's
condos.
used to be?
No, before that.
The hospital.
No.
Not sure what you're describing.
It was on your
Anyway.
left side. It was on your left side.
Oh,
Anyway, no, they turned it into that
Adonis.
fancy
Yeah.
condo.
That's Adonis. The rest.
And
That's
they
the
turned-
grocery
yeah,
store
it's
now.
Adonis now.
It's a grocery store.
That took
yeah.
like 12 years.
Yeah.
That was like a burnt out husk of a building for like 12 years in the middle of downtown.
Yeah, it's why it's God bless. Wouldn't have it
You remember?
any other way.
You remember when the Omer de Serre closed down and it became that horrible hobo pit?
The one.
The one on
Which-
St. Catherine, right next to the fucking LaSalle College.
Oh yeah. That area was already kind of like lost to the to the ethers.
But the Omer de Serre like closed down, then it was the alley, and then like the fucking stoop, and then it became like the fucking hobo nightmare.
Well, because that was already there. It's just the business was kind of running amidst it. But like that area connected to Cabot Square is where the secret crack den was. So like the secret crack
Very
den.
secret. It was super secret.
Well, because what would happen is, like, the old hospital would basically receive people that were coming off the native reservations, and they would come in to do checkups and then get on a bus and go back to the reservation. And then some people would decide, fuck that place sucks, I want to stay here. So some native people would come in, and then they would not get on they'd get checked up, and then they'd not get on the bus to go back, and then they'd stay in that square. And as soon as they did that, a bunch of fucking nefarious types had a whole system set up that were like, hey, you need a place to stay? Come hang out over here. It's right next door. And that park right next to it, between the park and the Omer de Serre, was the crack den. So it'd just be like, we got a spot for you.
So much ass, because like I remember being a little kid and my dad taking me to the children's hospital, and I would play in that park, Cabot Square, and chase the pigeons, and it was great.
Yep.
And then I went there in Cégep, and it became like scary homeless people, the park.
Yep.
And then they renovated it. I don't know if you've been there since they renovated it. And it's really nice now.
Well, there's been two renovations. There was the first renovation, which consisted of merely turning the lights on.
Yeah.
The first renovation was like the trees are no longer overgrowing the benches and lights, and we've turned the lights on. And then Pokemon Go helped to bring a lot of people around to that area as well.
That's true, it did.
But then after...
And then they did a real renovation.
And cleared out the actual dirt and put in floors and turned the lights up real bright. And they have a little mini shop there, which I believe is actually native owned. But then, by paving and turning the lights on, they've essentially spread and just displaced the homeless population in that area, and just kind of moved them vaguely elsewhere.
Yeah, it's funny because after that renovation, I would go past there quite often, and there would literally always be a cop car just sitting there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that cop car was so that when the hobos showed up, they would literally just push them down the hill.
It was like, hey guys, you didn't get the memo.
Down Atwater.
Yeah, you didn't get the memo, but you guys have to be down by the water now.
Yeah,
that's
they'd start getting pushed down the fucking hill towards Atwater, the metro. But then Saint Henri is starting to clean up, and so they'd start getting pushed further down towards the river, and eventually, I guess they're supposed to live in the aqueduct. I don't know.
Well, they recently cleared out the area on Notre Dame, actually. So, like, I don't know where the new spot is, but they're kind of kiting the homeless throughout the city a little bit. It's not quite like the Los Angeles like Skid Row thing, but it's like there is a kind of nomadic push that forces this group of units to relocate.
I swear to God, like, there's a lot of shitty places in this city. I don't think there was any shittier place in the entire city that I've ever had to be than where we used to have the office. There was a guy fucking shooting heroin on our steps one day when we came to record shit.
I've been through worse.
Needle in the arm.
I've seen worse. That was, that was part of it, but I wouldn't throw that on top of the list. But
get the fuck off my steps, shooting drugs.
Yeah, probably. Get
the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you probably should do that. You probably shouldn't be there. But yeah, no, they're figuring it out, right? There's something happening. I mean, I think they did. It's kind of weird because they tried the same thing with Barry UCAM, which is the even bigger Hobo Central, and like they went in and put some fancy benches and decorations in the park and kind of like spruced it up. And it was really just kind of like, oh, cool, thanks. You just made the Hobo Central a little more fortified. You just
that area is
you invested in the Hobo block, and now it's level 2.
That whole zone is getting cleaned up with like napalm or nothing.
Like now the capacity has increased. We can fit more folks in.
That's where that fucking dude that runs his fucking nightmare like fake cancer scam likes to hang out.
What's like,
that fucking thing growing on his chest?
Why'd you give him armor, guys? Why did you upgrade their class and give them armor now? That's Anyway.
I fucking love this city.
Wouldn't have it any other way.